Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. What a Sunday afternoon, Easter weekend, what a blessed time we all have. And yes, it's been a minute. I haven't been involved for a longest time now. I mean, it's a couple of weeks since my last Monday afternoon show for Cannon Fodder. But yeah, this is a recording, and obviously Alex will upload this video for your perusal. And what an interesting topic that came to mind, and a lot of us was obviously sort of thinking about it, and a lot of us obviously talking about it as well in our various circles. So yeah, I'm having coffee. Anybody want coffee? Because I'm gonna have a cup of coffee. Yeah, that's for free. So yeah, what the interesting topic is the Pgmol, the officiating, the officials, the referees, the whoever's you wanna call them, VAR, the referee on the day, the fourth official, all the officials on the day of a football match, being at an Arsenal match, being at a City match, being at Tottenham, being at Liverpool, any match. There is so many inconsistencies, obviously. There is so many various aspects of the game that has been overlooked, by the fact that you can argue the offside, the disallowed goals. And here's the thing: red cards and yellow cards is part of the game, but it has to be a legitimate call. So I have a few players in English Premier League that are highly protected from these cautions or the disciplinary actions. So I've got the top 5, and I'm going to start with maybe I should just start with no particular order, but Virgil van Dijk, one of the players that are protected in the Premier League. Virgil van Dijk had a couple of tackles, not just on our players but on other teams as well, that had either a caution on it or a second caution turned red card or straight red. And then most times that doesn't happen. For what reason, I don't know. So, I mean, there's games, and I think it was a game between Liverpool and Brighton, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just go back there. Everton, where Van Dijk had a tackle on Onana, and I think it was the recent Merseyside derby at Anfield, and he was protected by it. And then some would argue his foot was not that high. Some would argue it is not a red card situation, it's maybe a yellow card. But that is obviously up to the interpretation of the rule. However, did he see a red card or a yellow card on the tackle? No. So yeah, that is the one person or player that are protected. And then there is a particular player that might not have any malicious tackles, but he draws attention to the person or player who's tackling him, and it's Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish is an overrated player in my opinion, and most of other football fans might see it differently. He's overrated, I think, and I had a discussion yesterday with somebody. When he was at Aston Villa, he was somehow a more humble player as opposed to being a City player now. Jack will draw fouls, which makes him a clever, intelligent player. However, there's certain times where Jack will provoke a player to tackle, and also in the same time he makes a tackle that will not even see him a yellow card, which is maybe a yellow card offense, but he escapes that. So that in itself is a player that are protected, whether it's English or whether it's one of the princes of England. But I don't think it's fair for football to have that sort of, yes, you've got to protect the player in terms of getting injured and all sorts of things that goes with it. But if the player should get a caution, then it has to happen. And I don't see these things happen on the field. I mean, if you've watched Man City's game and you've watched Grealish, how many times did he come or get away with a yellow card tackle? Or how many times did he provoke a player that wasn't even supposed to get a yellow card or a red card? So you either, which is clever from the player, and don't get me wrong, I mean, we all that have played the game has done it, and all the professional players out there has done something to that effect. But the fact remains is that he still gets away with it. And that to me is unfair to the game of football. So yeah, Jack Grealish is the number 4, and then you get a player, Pgmol Højbjerg, plays the number 5 for Tottenham Hotspur, and this player, as I call it, is a gangster type of player. He's one of the most protected players, and I mean, he's in my top 5. He gets away with so many tackles that either cause him a second yellow card or even a straight red card, and yet he keeps getting protected. He's one of those type of players, and I would also put Granit Xhaka in that same argument and conversation. Is yes, we all do it, we've all done it, and most players do it, is to frustrate the opponents, is by going down for unnecessary time-wasting tactics. But when it works for you, it works for you. But the fact remains is, when he's supposed to get a yellow card or a red card, it does not happen. And it pains me to see that other players, again, like Fabinho, like Granit Xhaka, like Gooner Matterz, like Casemiro, just to name a few. Those are the players that are easily carded or easily cautioned or easily sent off because of the reputation they have obviously built up. But do we blow according to the reputation of the player, or do we go about in the now, in the merit of the actual game? And that doesn't go the way I think it should, because, again, Pgmol Højbjerg gets protected. And I mean, so many times they're doing it very subtly, and they get away with it. And similar tackles, you see other players get either sent off or red or yellow carded or second yellow carded, and that sort of proves the fact that there is no consistency in the Pgmol, because they protect certain players, whether they like to admit it or not. It is just a fact. I mean, we've all watched football. We've watching football for the longest times in our lives. I mean, we see things happening, and with the modern game, these players gets away with so many unnecessary opportunities where they could have or should have been cautioned or sent off. So yeah, that to me is unfair again to the game of football. Another player, a number 2, is getting away with so many times that he could have been carded, whether yellow or red, or protected, is Rodri from Manchester City. And this player, I don't like him a bit. In his position that he plays, he gets protected so many times. There's so many games that he should have been suspended with either second yellow card or straight red. I mean, just taking it back to the 4-1 victory over Liverpool a week ago, he should have gotten a second yellow card in that game, and that game should have probably turned out totally different. And this is not a biased statement or analogy or anything to do with Arsenal taking the lead when Rodri is not in the Manchester City camp or games for a few games suspended. That's not the case. The fact is that he gets away with so many things in any game. There's opportunities even in our FA Cup game against the City on February the 15th, I think it was, or somewhere around there, where they won us 1-0, and he again had tackles that would have seen him a second yellow card, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen in the Liverpool game. It didn't happen in other games, even on an international duty now recently. I mean, he made a tackle on Odegaard, could have broken his ankle. He made a tackle on Tierney, who have missed out on the second game. I might bring it back to Premier League. As recent as Saturday, he made a few tackles. Maybe it wasn't a second yellow card offense, but it was a yellow card offense, and he got away with it. So again, it brings a lot of question marks to the fact that the officials on the day and VAR being present, how are we going to fight this as fans? How is this going to change rather in the game? Because it is clear as daylight, clear and so obvious as it is day, that these guys are protected. It pains me to see this. I mean, even if it was an Arsenal player that keeps on being protected, that in fact the lack thereof is been shown mostly to Arsenal players like our star boy Bukayo Saka. He does not get the protection from the referee when it is tackles on him. So many abusive tackles has gone on him. Again, a couple of City players, Liverpool players, Chelsea players, Tottenham players that has abused this player. I mean, Bournemouth, Newcastle, and they got away with these things. I mean, that is just to name a few. And And I only have my top 5 players that are protected. So there's so many other players that get protected by the Pgmol officials, and it's not right. I mean, it is bizarre to think that VAR already is in a mess. It takes it further that the referee on the day can't really sort of translate the rules or perceive the rules in a different way, and it frustrates the teams that are either fighting for relegation, or they're fighting for a title, or they're fighting for the top 4, or they're just fighting to bloody well win a match. And those are the decisions that goes against them, and either have them lost points in that game, or lose it completely. So it has to change, and I don't know, you obviously can you can leave your comments in the comment section below, and just voice your opinion about how the players are protected. Look, every player will try and make it seem that he's not wrong, or make it seem like a professional foul, or make it seem that he's gone for the ball, or he touched the ball, or whatever the case may be, just to take the flack or the caution or the eyes off him. Every player does that. But then you can also argue that there is a blatant protection on certain players, certain teams. And you know what? It is probably is what it is. But that shouldn't be the way I mean, we will probably never see in our lifetime that these things will be changed by the Pgmol. But as long as there's guys like Howard Webb, Gallagher, Dermot Gallagher, and the Paul Tierney's, the guys that are very biased when it comes to certain teams, are in control of these matches, we probably won't see it. I mean, there's hardly a real genuine referee on the day that doesn't take any team prisoners or does not overlook certain things. Yes, we need to obviously let the game flow. We need to obviously make decisions in terms of is it really a harsh tackle, the intent of the tackle, but take the rules to the extent where it has to be implemented for the merit of the tackle that it should be. If it is a red card offense, then do that. If it is a second yellow card offense, then do that, irrespective of what period in the game it is, whether it's early in the game, or whether it's a game that needs to be protected with the red card or not. But the fact remains that if the tackle merits a card, yellow or red, issue that card. Be consistent in doing that. A lot of commentary also are very biased to referees. He used his discretion in not giving a second yellow card because of it's only 12 minutes in the game. He got the first yellow card very early, and 12 minutes later he did another tackle. You can't justify that way. If it merits a second yellow card, then it should be given. Whether it's an Arsenal player, whether it's a City United, any type of player, any team, it should be merited for the particular tackle. So my number one player that are protected, and it's no other than, put your hands together for my number one player that are protected in the Premier League, Sir Harry Kane. Oh man, This guy can't buy a red card if he wanted to. He gets protected so many times. And he's one of the players that are provoking tackles and make the most of it. Like, oh my word, the tackle. Look, to be fair, that is a red card offense, but was Kane really necessary for him to go down the way he did? Yes. You can't put your hand in the face of another player or the referee or whoever else on the pitch. It is a red card offense. But was it really necessary for him to go down? No. Then you take it further to last season. Liverpool versus Tottenham at Anfield. Kane made a tackle on Andy Robertson. I mean, you can blatantly see where his foot was, how high his foot was, whether there was hard contact or not. The fact remains is, if it was a different player, that, like Fabinho, in fact, like Andy Robertson in that same match on Emerson Royale, he got a red card. He first got a yellow card, and when the referee, I think it was Dawson or somebody that has gone to the monitor, and he overturned the yellow card and he issued a red card. And what makes it even worse is that same referee that gave Kane a yellow card for a red carded offense, he didn't even go to the monitor to go see if it is really a yellow card offense. He just issued a yellow card. Oh, it pains me. Again, that's not biased because it's a Tottenham guy. This is the England captain, Harry Kane. This guy is the most protected player in English football. The most protected player, in my opinion. He gets away with so many things. He will get an odd yellow card here and there, but he will not get a second yellow card, even if the tackle merits a second yellow card. He will not get a red card, even if it merits a red card, like the particular one in the Liverpool-Tottenham game last season. Not long after the tackle on Robertson, where Kane got a yellow card, Robertson made a tackle on Royale from the side with his leg around Royale, a little bit high, which in my opinion it is a red card. But there's so many controversial questions that has been asked in and after that game by many pundits, and again the answers was the referee on the day did not deem it as a dangerous tackle. He did not touch the player. He touched the player, but even if he didn't touch the player, those tackles, as seen other players for the intent thereof, got red carded. Kane did not get a red card. It does not pose well for the Pgmol officials. Does not. VAR neither. And the bloody fourth official even. Each official on the day, whether it's the referee, whether it's the linesman, whether it's the fourth official, or whether it's VAR and the 6 people therein, each one of them has the responsibility to say that is not right what you just did. You have the right as an official on the day, a match official, to challenge the decision. But their voices don't get heard. The referee probably didn't even mention it in his report. The VAR referee probably didn't mention that the referee on the day didn't go view the monitor. Everybody could see that. The question was asked, why didn't he go view the monitor? So that, people, is the interesting thought that I had in my mind, is the players that are protected by the Pgmol for on-field illegal challenges on other players. And they get protected by not giving them the legitimate consequences or punishment that merits their action. So leave your comments in the comment section. Gently touch the like, share the video, and if you did not do so for Cannon Fodder or Gooner Matterz, then subscribe. Hit the notification bell and get all the notifications for when we're going live or when there's any new footage. But you are a very, very welcome audience, and I hope that you find in this content there's so many discussions to be had. So I'm going to just break it down. Virgil van Dijk, Jack Grealish, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Rodri, and my number one. Put your hands together once again for Harry Kane. That is my top 5 players that are very well protected by the Pgmol officials in match days. You can disagree with me. You probably have your own 5, or you have your own top players that are protected. That's my 5. You can also even leave your players that are protected, in your opinion, in the EPL for the longest time. People that are supposed to see yellow cards, second yellow cards, or even straight red cards, or people that are supposed to see some punishment from the Pgmol have not gotten those punishments. So let's be fair. Whatever opinion you have does matter, because on Gooner Matterz, your opinion matters. So this is Cannon Fodder TV featuring Gooner Matterz. And I want to say this to end off. You can have your opinion, keep it clean, but also be fair to the fact that it's an opinion. Whether we're going to see a change or whether we're going to see no changes, it's the fact that our voices are heard. Whoever sees this can share it, and maybe the people that matters, people that make decisions, can obviously hear the voices of the fans out there. Pgmol and whatever they stand for, and whoever is associated with them, need to understand that it is painful to see that players need to be protected, but players can't be protected if they are illegally making offensive tackles that could hurt either players or teams for their respective goals that they have set for them in the season. So yeah, leave your comments, leave your thoughts, and hashtag come on you Gunners. And this was Cannon Fodder featuring Gooner Matterz.